Harley Lippman is a geopolitical analyst who also serves on the board of Columbia University's School of International Affairs. And we're so glad to have you with us. I think the first question I would ask you is, do you think that people even know why October 7th happened? Do they know the truth? Or is it such an emotional conflict that we might never know?
It's a really great question because I don't think they know the truth because I've got to believe that students who are demonstrating have good intentions and they have big hearts and they're worried about innocent Palestinians who are being killed, which is understandable. But I think they have a completely distorted perception of what the reality is in the Middle East. And on October 7th, communities inside Israel, among the poorest of Israeli communities, and interestingly, among the most pro-Palestinian of Israeli communities,
Right.
were attacked by Hamas. And as was mentioned, people were raped, babies were put in ovens. I mean, a level of savagery that we haven't seen since the Holocaust. This is really Holocaust 2.0 to the Jewish people. They killed every Jewish person, no matter if she was a 90-year-old grandmother, a 5-year-old girl, it didn't matter. And they tortured many of them. It's just really horrific. And then came student demonstrations supporting Hamas and the Palestinian cause, which was a shock, I think, to the Jewish community and I think to the civilized world.
You're an alum. You're an alum of Columbia. I mean, you're on the board. I mentioned that. But what did you think when we saw the campus erupt in not only protests, not just peaceful demonstrations, but anger, vitriol, a lot of people denying that what you just said happened, particularly about the babies, ever happened, people vandalizing Columbia University's property. What were your thoughts?
Well, there are studies that show that university students have been brainwashed by a leftist woke curriculum that demonizes Israel and Jews and just glorifies Palestinian, what they call resistance, which is code for murder, and TikTok and the money of countries like Qatar have combined to create an anti-Semitic atmosphere because there's one standard for Israel and then a different standard for every other country. And that's how you know it's anti-Semitism.
In terms of being compassionate for the Palestinian civilians, while also not being anti-Semitic, I mean, I don't want you to you can't really crystallize it into a sentence, but don't you think the majority of people who are level-headed, reasonable, and compassionate would be able to communicate a compassion for all the people involved and not vilify Israelis or even the Israeli government, though a lot of people try to separate the two, and maybe that's the right way to look at it. What do you think?
I think that what people need to do is look honestly as to what choice does Israel have? And more important than that, who's responsible for this? On October 6th, no one was killing anybody. Israel was not attacking Gaza. This happened because Hamas, with thousands of Palestinian terrorists, came across the border to attack the Israeli nation. And like any nation, Israel has a right to defend itself. Now, Hamas is deliberately hiding in civilian areas. They are exploiting their own people because this is their strategy of waging war against Israel. They know they cannot defeat Israel militarily. So what are they trying to accomplish? They want dead Palestinians because this, and it's a very successful strategy on behalf of Hamas, because this has galvanized the world to protest against Israel. But who's responsible for that? And when you look at Hamas, the proof that they really don't care about their own people and actually they want innocent Palestinians to die is two things. One, there's no air raid shelters in Gaza at all. So if they really cared about their people, like every country, and especially given they've been in combat with Israel, they would have air raid shelters for their civilians. They have none. Second, they could fit every single Palestinian in Gaza in the tunnels. The tunnels are bigger than the New York subway system. They literally go for hundreds of miles underground. There are some where there's 7 layers right underneath each other, one layer after another. They could fit every single Palestinian in the tunnels if they wanted to. But they want to expose the Palestinians. And this is why they're even worse than ISIS or Al Qaeda, because ISIS and Al Qaeda wanted to kill the enemy, the infidels, if you will. They weren't trying to kill their own people. Hamas wants their own people to die. That shows you how really horrible and evil this organization is.
And evil is something that a lot of us are questioning. We're wondering, how will there be an end to it? Obviously, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is defiant that he will continue to fight to get all of those hostages home. No easy task. Harley Lippman, great talking to you, and hope we talk to you again soon.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We'll be